Good afternoon, everyone. This is the Doctor. I hope you're having a fantastic day today. It's another beautiful day out here in the Pacific Northwest, and today we're going to be talking about the amnesiac child Fina. Now, Fina is the white mage of Lapis. She's also a gunner class and a cleric class, and if you didn't know, she actually comes from the original Brave Exvius, so she is one of the core characters that originated from there. Her master ability is going to be dexterity plus 15%, magic attack resistance plus 25. Her TMR is going to be her famed reincarnation bow, which is going to give HP plus 95, attack 54, magic 62, and critical hit rate plus 18. And that critical hit rate is just going to be something we're going to be focusing on as we go all throughout this video. That bow also has a chance to inflict charm when attacking at a 15% rate. It's one of the most unique weapons in the game, and it's one of those weapons that I think could be a lot of fun. Taking a look at Fina's base stats here, you do see she does have relatively low HP at 1,359 HP. She has TP of 139, AP of 130, a movement of only 3 and a jump of 1. She has a luck of 115, attack of 70, magic of 161. She does have a very nice agility though at 57 and a moderate dexterity at 107. She does have a range stat as well, which gives her range as 3. She gets an additional HP plus 107 on top of that. She gets a starting TP of plus 6. She gets a starting AP of plus 4. Those are some pretty nice starting percentages. She also gets attack plus 28, magic plus 41, agility plus 5, so that's going to put her total agility at 63, making her one of the faster healers we can actually get in the game. She's going to get an additional dex plus 31 and luck plus 18. She's also going to get AP percent up 20, which puts her about in the 150-155 range. Well, we just went the wrong way on that slide. Taking a look at her core abilities here, her main job, the White Mage of Lapis, is going to give you access to 2 abilities which are pretty critical as a healer. You're going to be getting Full Life, and you're going to be getting Curaga, which recovers HP medium of allies within range. There is something to note here, and that is that she does not get access to Curada, which is the single target heal. She only gets access to Curaga, so keep that in mind as we're going through, and also keep in mind she's always going to have access to these 2. Now, if you were going to be subbing White Mage of Lapis on her, she is going to get access to Esuna, which is going to remove all of the status debilitations that your characters can get. She's going to get access to Cheer, which is going to raise your allies' faith and raises attack and magic for 3 turns, and it's also going to bestow Protect. So it's a very powerful defensive tool, and I think there's many people out there who really only see it as a faith-raising tool for their characters. Also, she is going to get access to Aim, which is a little bit weaker version of Sharp Shot, so it's going to deal small damage to target, and it has guaranteed chance to hit. Now, I think it is important to note here a couple things. I think Cheer is a very powerful defensive and offensive technique that you can get, and I think having access to Esuna is going to be very important for people in the future. You need to start planning who your Esuna character is going to be, because as we approach more content later on in the game, you are going to need that Esuna to remove the debuffs off of your characters. Now, her other sub is a little bit more offensive, and it's going to be a gunner sub. Now, she is going to have access to Sidewinder, which is going to be a medium range, full range attack. She does have access to Counsel as well, which I think is one of the more powerful passive abilities that she can offer to the party. It is going to give her that 42% plus critical, and that's going to be critical hit rate, and that affects all of the allies around her as well. So not only is she able to pop Cheer, she's also going to be able to pop Counsel to give 42% critical hit rate to all of your allies. That's going to be very powerful and could potentially see you maxing some crit plus builds with her. because you would only need about 58% critical hit rate. So she's really going to pair on an offensive scale with a lot of units that have critical hit rate plus. Finally, she does get access to Arm Shot, which deals damage large to target and a chance of inflicting disable for 3 turns. She also gets access to Blind Shot and the Leg Shot, which gets immobilized. Now, I think for Fina, her gunner sub is not going to be so much about dealing damage, because remember, she has that really low attack. It's going to be about offering something to your allies that's going to both buff them in maybe a PvP situation, and it's going to be offering something to disable your opponents. So maybe that's something that you could think about keeping in mind with her high faith. She's probably going to be able to land some of those debuffs from these techniques. So her gunner ability is more of a support class. It's not going to be offensive like we see maybe with Ryu. Now, her final sub is Cleric, and I think Cleric is probably her weakest sub. It does have some very strategic elements. You do have Erase, which is going to remove all debuffs from targets within range. So what that's going to do is if your characters have attack down, defense down, or anything like that, that's going to remove those. It does give access to Dark Veil, which is going to raise dark resistance plus 25% at max level for allies within range, and she also gets Light Veil with that. Pretty niche. It could actually be pretty useful right now in the current meta with how many light units there are. It could be potentially useful with the Golden Stern that's coming out in the future. But I think overall having access to Banish and these abilities is going to be subpar to either subbing White Mage of Lapis or subbing Gunner. Now, taking a look at her passives here, she does have access to Counter Shot, Auto Cure, and Honest Wish. I've never seen a lot of a use for Auto Cure and Honest Wish. With her low HP total, if she's going to get hit, she is going to die. So there's probably not a chance that Auto Cure and Honest Wish will proc. I'm going to say if she does live, I would want her to deal some damage with Counter Shot. So 9 times out of 10, I'm going to equip Counter Shot. Now, in terms of her passive abilities, I think it really depends on how you want to build her and what direction you want to go with her. I think if you're building her as someone who's going to take a magic hit, Spirit up level 1, Innocent Shot is probably going to be the way to go. If you're wanting her to be a little bit more offensive, I would actually probably invest in Concentrate and Innocent Shot. I think Concentrate with that range +2, and I think Innocent Shot with that raises magic. You could also do Concentrate and Missile Mastery, but honestly, I don't think you're going to be going for that missile damage at all with her. I think you're really going to want that plus magic, and you're probably going to want that range +2, especially if you have her TMR, which is going to have that potential charm capability. Now, taking a look at all of the weapons she can equip, she can equip a bow, hat, clothing, and accessory. In terms of weapons, of course, her TMR Reincarnation is probably going to be the best. You do have access to Glacier Bow though, and the thing about Glacier Bow and Reincarnation is they're both going to give critical hit rate +18, which is very spicy for her. Keep in mind she already has that Council buff, which is going to be critical hit rate +42. You could also go for something like the Rune Bow with critical, which is going to give 99 attack as opposed to Reincarnation's 54 attack, and it's also going to give 15% critical hit rate. It's also going to give missile attack +15%. So if you're looking to go a little bit more offensive, you might actually want to go for the critical Rune Bow. If you want to go a little bit more defensive, you could actually go for the Rune Bow +5 aim so that you could just focus on landing your shots on your opponents, and you still get a hefty 86 attack on it, so it can still do some damage. In terms of defense, you have a couple options. Of course, the Sage's Hat +5 for dodge is going to be fantastic. I would recommend any of the smart coats for her. I think either of those would be a great option. Probably I would go for the shield so that you get some defense accessibility. In terms of accessories, we're going to probably be looking at complementing whatever the opposite is that you have in your gear. So if you ended up going for a TMR bow, you're probably going to want to stack a jeweled ring +5 with accuracy on it, so get that additional accuracy +9. Otherwise, you probably want to go for the critical, which is going to give you critical hit rate +9. Now, in terms of her resistances, she is weak to 10% to all physical damage. The resistance here, the plus 30% to magic, is with her TMR, so she has an innate not with her TMR, her mastery ability. Her innate resistance is plus 5% resistance to magic, but with her TMR ability, it is plus 30% resistance to magic. She's 15% weak to dark, and she does have resistance against Petrify, Stop, and Charm. Now, looking at the different Esper options, I've heard tons of people recommend Floatai, and I actually think, while not a terrible idea, you're probably going to want to invest in an Esper you can use on other units, and you're probably going to want an Esper that's going to have overall more use and more power in the future. So I am listing 2 UR units and 1 non-UR Esper that you can use. We don't have Tetrasulfalid yet, but she's going to be probably one of the strongest. She does have shooting attack up, she has lots of evasion plus, she also gets magic plus 60 at her max level. Gonna be a great Esper to set on Fina. Also gonna recommend Golem, gonna have that man-eater, gonna have that defense, gonna make her a little bit more chunky. Finally, we got Cactuar. Cactuar is probably the best Esper, I think, overall for Fina, and there are people who are probably gonna disagree with me on this because they love their Floatai. My reasoning is that Cactuar is going to give plus 20% magic, and you're going to be able to invest in plus 20% critical hit rate. Adding that onto her innate critical hit rate plus counsel, you can get a very high critical hit rate. Not only that, you can also invest in Man Killer instead if you want to take your Fina in a specific direction, and you can use your Cactuar on other units. So if you're not using Cactuar, it's probably because you have a Golem or a Tetrasyphilid that you want to invest in. Personally, I would use Cactuar on her. Taking a look at her cards, she does have a lot of options for cards, you guys. And for me, I'm looking at that critical damage and cast time. So I think the strongest card you can actually put on her is potentially the strongest with us. And that's going to be an attack of 190 when it's fully maxed out, critical damage plus 10, and a party ability of cast time minus 100. I could see this being really strong for her. I think the cast time, if you want to maybe use some of her charge shot abilities, is going to affect those in a really good way. And I think with the amount of critical hit rate, you're going to see that plus 10% critical hit rate damage proc quite often. Now, of course, we do have Sharpened Concentration as well, which fully max is going to give plus 20% missile attack. Again, not the biggest thing that I'm going to be focusing on with Fina, but if you maybe are going that offensive route, maybe you are putting Strongest with Us on Fina, and then you're going to be putting this on the party on another member, you could really build her for maybe an offensive gunner build, or you could build your party for an offensive gunner build. So something to look at, something to think about. Definitely not the worst card to put on her. Finally, of course, we did get the new card, and it is going to be all the Whisper cards. And it's going to give a party ability a critical hit rate, or sorry, not critical hit rate, critical damage plus 18, which is going to be very powerful for the entire party. It's also going to give slash attack resist plus 15, missile attack resist plus 15, max HP minus 15%. The max HP not going to affect her too much because she already has low HP, and that slash attack and missile attack resistance is going to let her keep living a little bit longer. It is going to give a healthy balance of attack and magic, so it's going to balance her out just the right amount, and that critical plus 18 damage is going to affect the other characters, right? Because if you have her subbed gunner, she's going to be using counsel, which is going to give the plus 40% critical hit rate to the other units that are around her. Absolutely, potentially a great critical hit rate build unit, and a great card to use with her. There are, of course, other cards you could use. You could use Ifrit for attack up. You could use, I don't know, Fun Time for the critical hit rate plus for the specific unit. You could use Bomb for the critical hit rate plus for the specific unit. There's a lot of different builds here. You could use Cactuar for the agility plus and the party up damage, or the party critical hit rate up. So there's a lot of different cards in combination that you could use with Fina. I think it really depends on how you're going to build her, whether you're going to build her towards a critical hit build, whether you're going to build her towards consistent shooting damage, whether you're going to build her to just be a support character. There's so many different things. So lots of things to consider, you guys, with Fina, and definitely she's not a sleeping unit. You can definitely level her and use her. If you don't have Ayaka, go for Fina, go for Phoebe. I have a Phoebe level 84 right now, and I have not been disappointed in her. So definitely completely viable, you guys, and not just a cheer whore. All right, you guys, that does bring us to the end of the video. Thank you so much for listening today, and thank you for all of the support. Remember, if you are going to be buying Visior, make sure you do it from my affiliate link through the Amazon coin links down below. It does help me out, and it is a good way for you to get 20% off of your Visior. Also, make sure you drop a comment, come join our Discord, and come check out our stream tonight. Thank you so much, you guys, and have a great rest of your day.